Hey everybody, this is the tutorial for the WTSL Builds mod, which is used for TE4 created character tournaments on WTSL. So, to access the WTSL Builds mod, you have to go to Mod Management, go to Search Tags, enter and use the tag tour bases. When you search that, you will see some mods, and the WTSL Builds mod is here. So just click subscribe, and then it will be added to your collection. And when it's added to your collection, it will just appear here. And then what you should do is restart, and what you should do afterwards is go to the profile. We're in XKT WTSL profile. Go to WTSL Builds, click apply, restart, and then it will come into effect. If you use apply and reload mods, it's advised not to use it, but for the purpose of this video, I'll use it because what it does is it does apply the profile, but it's usually buggy. It means it can mess up your animations, and sometimes things don't load properly. So I would not advise using it, but for the purpose of this video, I'll use it. So now that I have the WTSL Builds mod downloaded, I click apply and reload mods. Normally I would say apply, restart the game for it to come into full effect, because that's a fairly buggy button, but anyways, it kind of works. So now we have the WTSL Builds mod loaded. So with WTSL Builds mod, you have World Tour, which that's different from the base WTSL mod, but the difference is that on this mod, if you go to Training Club and Character Sheets, you can create your own character. So this is XKT 772 build. So I imported that from XKT, and once you load it here, the stats which are above the stat restrictions that we set will be remapped to the stat restrictions. So as you can see here, these yellow numbers, these are the skill caps that we set for each of the skills. So you cannot set a skill above the 6 skill cap. So you can see here the max is 85, so I cannot set the forehand volley above 85. Same with backhand volley. So setting these to see, you can move them around. So this is an XKT 772 build. You'll see in XKT is different. I'll show you that later on. But the mod does come with presets. So all court attacker is a preset. So the presets are fairly competitive builds, which are set at 700 points. So in this mod, to play on tournaments, you need to set your build to 700 points. But you can pick the stats as you like, and the animations. So you can pick from all the animations in the mod. Set your own animations for backhand, forehand, service, etc. And design your face and other accessories. You can also change whether you're going to want to be left-handed or right-handed. You can pick talents, and you can pick a playstyle. Acceleration trait too, so you can pick anyone. The similarity with this and the base WTSL mod is that auto positioning is locked on average, offline and online. You cannot change auto positioning, and footwork boost is also locked on none. So the gameplay is supposed to be similar to WTSL, except you have freedom to choose your stats and animations, and you can create your own kind of builds. You don't have to use the starter builds. These starter builds, they're optimized to be fairly competitive. So let's say, for example, at forehand power and backhand power, they will keep that. It's good to keep them like close to the max, because most people will have the max on those. This is a bit more like an ATP style build, but if you want, you could make it max forehand power, max backhand power. But know that your consistency and precision will have to go up with those if you want to maintain the ability to resist the power of your opponent. Your consistency should be close to your power, and to make like less errors. So yeah. But if you were to go like max on the rally and max on service, then you would not have too many points left for other things. So the nice thing about WTSL is that WTSL Builds that you can distribute points amongst many categories, fairly high number of points in many categories. So the ATP builds have a skills average of about between 83 and 84, all the builds. But you're able to put skills on different categories, a fairly high amount of skill points in each category to still maintain that 84 point average. So, and still have 700 points left in your character. But for tournaments, you need your points to be at 700 left. So when I maxed out rally and service, I had to take off from these other things. And I like to have a fairly balanced build. So the presets that are included in the mod, I do not max out every rally and service stat. Physique is hard to max out, but you should probably max out physique, because you will be disadvantaged if your speed is lower than, let's say, the max, and stamina is lower than the max. You'll be at a fairly disadvantaged other people, even your muscle tone. That improves your ability to accelerate. So since we're just we haven't really started this tour, it will be interesting to see if a meta develops which are different from the presets. So we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna have to update this video in the future. But yeah, so let's go back to the preset. So this is how it came. So there's different ones: all-round attacker, all-rounder, and these are just based on the style. So all-rounders vary. So I just try to make it have good stats in different categories. And the talents here, I gave it the talents which you would expect of a very styled player. So he's able to do everything: hit the ball early, feeling, so softly control the ball, and then slice, really good slice, movement really good. So I'll say it's an all-rounder. And the different playstyles have different bonuses and malices based on the speed of the shots, how many accelerations they can do, etc. But to get to you can find more information about that in the T4 documentation. I'm not going to go into detail in this video. Plus, I have more experience playing on fixed presets than I created characters. So those who play XKT might have a bit more experience of the minutiae of different changes and builds. So yeah, I do know about this stuff because I create the ATP and WTA builds, but I'm not changing them constantly because I don't play competitively on the main games tour. So yeah, that's just a little bit about the builds. So one thing I would say is for the builds that the service power is set at, is not many of them use up to 100. The Volier might be close to 100. No, not even Volier. So based on the knowledge of the fact that consistency and precision should be similar to increase your percentages, if you go too high on service power, then your consistency will be lower than service power. What we're trying to do is create an average of these skills which is realistic. So if you look at the rally skills, 96, 93, 90, the average of these three is 93. And we want the average to be similar to the ATP builds averages for each of these skills. So average 195, 95, I think is 97. But service power being maxed at 100 is not game breaking compared to some of the others that are game breaking. Besides, we want them to be fairly realistic, so not going above 90, not going too far above 90. That will create some kind of game breaking artificial stats such as extremely high power. We don't want that, so that's why we've capped the power at 96, and so forth. Focus 2 is capped at 90, so it's not so they don't stray too much from the WTSL ATP builds, because we want to maintain a certain kind of gameplay across our tours. So yeah, counter and topspin are capped at 75 and 70, because we above that you can cap very unrealistic and cheesy builds. You can still create cheesy builds like this. I'm pretty sure some will arise. As I've said, we haven't discovered if there's a meta yet, but we've capped certain things which we believe are not conducive to a realistic or healthy gameplay experience, because there's complaints about people that use 100 topspin, for example, when playing equity games. That's not very fun. And we as WTSL agreed on doing something which is a bit more realistic, but still gives you the freedom to pick stats. So yeah, that's on the different builds. So I here have 2 builds imported from XKT. So this is the 772 build. So you see, when you bring it over to here, all the stats are remapped if they exceed. So the XKT version of this would have focus at 100. It got remapped to 90. I can actually show you by going to XKT, apply and reload. As I mentioned before, don't use apply and reload, use apply and restart. Because this can be buggy, especially when you play online. Your leg animations might be broken. So this is I'll find the XKT W772 build, because in realistic mode you play on you set it to 772. So that's this one. Yeah, so this is the 772 build. So when I brought it over to WTSL Builds, you can actually just rebuild this. You can rebuild this on the WTSL mod, WTSL Builds mod. You can rebuild this. The 772. Wait. Actually, whoops, I made a mistake. Well, let me. I made a mistake in version bit. But anyways, let me use the. I'm not gonna record this. So I'm gonna go. Oh, you know why? This could be because I did not. Because I clicked apply and reload and didn't click apply and then restart the mod, So, anyways, let's see if that's the case. I'm going to go back to WTSL and see if the 100 everything is fine. So I also have 100. Yeah, this one was also remapped. So this is a prime example of when you use apply and reload. It's buggy. If I clicked apply and then restarted, then this build would have had 100 on everything. So there's a conflict between the two mods right now. The WTSL Builds mod is actually remapping this, even though I'm on XKT. You see the effect of remapping. So all these stats here, these are the maximums. These are the maximums of WTSL Builds. So since I only clicked apply and reload, I didn't click apply. The WTSL Builds is actually applying the remapping on XKT. So these are all the maximums. So this build that I created before making this video had 100 on every stat. And then I imported it over to WTSL Builds, and then WTSL Builds remapped it. So let's go back to WTSL Builds. That was 100 everything. And then I brought that over to here, you load the 100 everything build, and this, you load it here, it has remapped to all the maximum stats. So anything above the maximum remaps to the maximum here. But this 100 everything build is it says 0.0, but actually it's not 0, it's 526. So this will not be allowed for a tournament. You would have to take off some stats, so you have 700 left. So let's take off a few, so we can get 7. Okay, I've taken off too much. No, sorry, too little still. Take off a few. If you did this, you get 772. If you did this, let's see. Let's add a bit more here. Okay, this would be allowed. This build would be allowed. Maxing up, maxing service, almost maxing value. But yeah, you have to sacrifice something if you max other things. So yeah. So that's the 100 everything build from XKT. As you see, when I brought it over here, it just remapped to all the maximums. And yeah. So this is the 700 build. This is my build. So this is an example of my personal build. So it comes with presets, but my personal build looks like this. I mean, I might change it, but there's nothing to hide when you're using this mod because it's on free mode. So we're able to see each other's builds. That might be an advantage of SKT if you care about the secrecy of your build. But yeah, so this will be a different experience because you can see each other's build. And how do you see each other's build? To see people's builds, you have to go to let's play a match. So this is me, WTSL 700. I'm going to play against Counter Puncher. So if I play a match here, okay, this is set to 2 humans for video purposes. So we go to player statistics. This is my points left. Whenever you play someone online, especially if you're playing in a tournament, if you don't play in a tournament and you choose not to do this, then you're playing free mode at your own risk. But what you should normally do is agree with your opponent how many points left they'll keep, because on free modes you can see it, and that especially with this mod will provide you some fair gameplay because they can set 100 points, set 700 points left, but they put 100 on all the key stats, and 100 power might be a bit overpowered, and so we set skill caps so that no matter what someone does with their build, as long as they set it to 700 points left, it's going to be a decent, nice experience, which might be fairly similar to the WTSL experience, but also different because we set the maximum skill caps to something a bit higher than, for some of the stats, higher than the maximum that we have on ATP builds. For example, the highest counter on ATP I think is a bit less than 75, but actually they're fairly similar, so I can't remember off the top of my head now. But for most of the stats, we set them a bit similar to the maximum that we have on ATP builds, so the gameplay will be fairly similar. But obviously, the fact that you can pick your own stats means that you can do something crazy. You can go like 100 on all the baseline and then put 0 on your volley. You can do that here too if you like. But whenever you play online, you must have 700 points left in your character. That's the key and requirement. And how do you see your build and other opponent's build? Well, this is it. So for forehand, backhand, volley, all these are averaged. So the average of the volley is this. But you will know that their stats were not higher than 85 for volley. So this is how you see the build. You don't see every single individual stat, but you do see every single individual talent. And some of the stats, drop shot, this is not average, it's 81%, so you'll know your opponent had 81%. But it doesn't matter what your opponent had. You can use that to analyze different builds, or why you might have lost, or why the opponent was playing a certain way, why the opponent felt a certain way. You might have had like maximum encounter, you'd feel it, and you see it by like going on your opponent and checking what his stats were. So this guy's, my counterpuncher's counter is 73%. So I might be able to analyze why the game played that way by looking at his stats. So yeah, this is something you should do before you start every match, or at the end of every match. Maybe not before you start, but at the end, you can go to player statistics here, and then you will know whether your opponent did what was right before the tournament matches, or even if you decide to play casually. You'll know whether they set it 700 points left, and that way you can know whether you were cheated. So when we start these tournaments, you will need to actually submit this page in the score reporting portal. That way we will be able to confirm whether your opponent or you were doing the right thing. So as long as you have 700 points left, you're totally fine. Everything else is regulated by the mod. But if one of you didn't have 700 points left, then it's an invalid match for a tournament. Whatever you decide to do in casual matches is between you and your opponent. But I would suggest that when you're playing casual matches too, just to be fair and to have the best experience, just play the mod as it was designed. So 700 points left. But it's a free, anyone can use this mod and decide to have 600 points left or 1300 points left, however they want to do it. But in tournaments it's 700 points left, because that's the points left in the ATP Builds, and we want to maintain some kind of standard for fair competition. Alright, so that's the main stuff.
Game, set, and match, player 2.
When you go online, it's just like the WTSL build, WTSL mod, the main one. When you go online, everything is set at all these things are fixed. So average octave positioning, no footwork boost, no previews online. So that's the difference between this and XAT. In XAT you can choose your previews online, but this mod it's a WTSL branded mod, so WTSL gameplay. So no previews. Quarter positioning is locked on average, footwork is locked on none. Controls locked in simulation online. Offline you can, even offline it's locked. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, it's not a totally free mod. XAT is like totally free. It's the base game. This is a WTSL branded mod, so there's certain things that we've locked to maintain our vision for how we want our tours to be, essentially. And this has not been done before on TE4 or on TE, having a free mode mod where you can pick your own stats. So hopefully some people enjoy using this, and we can have some people play on the tour. This might appeal to those in XAT who like to have their own animations but want a different kind of gameplay. And it gives you more capabilities. You can serve bigger when you have the full power allocated to you, so you can use up to 100 power. It provides a different kind of gameplay. So we're hosting Wimbledon in 3 weeks. So hopefully some people would like to try this out and would like to play that tournament. We're not going to have these events very regularly, at least in 2026. Let's see what the future holds. But this is something we've been trying to implement for a couple of years, and now the mod is set up for it. There's one thing that's going to be added to a future iteration of the mod. So right now, you can set 9 talents. Well, that might have to be updated. So right now, you can set up to 9 talents. You can pick up to 9 talents. The ideal would be we can only pick 5 of the 9, but that will hopefully be implemented in a future update to this mod. But the difference between this and XAT is that we've banned a couple of talents that we don't want to, that WTSL thinks are unfair. boom boom server. That's not based on the player skill. It's just injecting a different amount of RNG depending whether it's breakpoint or just randomly faster serves. So we decided to ban that, and we also decided to ban clutch server because it's like AI playing for you. So WTSL team decided that's not we don't want that. Also, second star of some of these talents. So when we in the ATP builds, we kind of control these talents with specific values, so we can regulate the gameplay a bit. Being able to set them all to set some to 2-star just creates a bit of cheesy, unfair kind of gameplay, and so we decided to, just in order to limit that, all the talents are limited at 1-star because we can't really control certain talents, and it gives us the ability to use all the talents that are realistic and set with Boom and Clutch server, which are just, we don't believe that they are providing a proper gameplay experience, a fair one, or maybe we could say realistic one. So, but these ones, early ball hit, you don't have access to this in XAT. But in ATP, in the ATP builds, we have actually given most of the characters early ball hit, but we've tuned it so that we don't go above 1-star. So it's between 0 and 50%, but we tuned it for all the characters. But when you use the created character mod, you can just select that, so that will be 50. Well, you can select this early ball hit talent, which you can't do in XKT. But as everything is limited to 1-star, it shouldn't be too cheesy and broken, let's say. But we're at this. This is just taking off, so things are going to change over time. We will make some adjustments to the mod, see what works and what doesn't work. And for example, these talents, we need to limit them to 5 so that you can not just pick all of them. It'll make it more interesting if you can only pick 5. So obviously the starter builds here, I've added 5 talents to all of them, but I'm sure when people actually play, they're just going to put all 9 because all 9 are available right now. We haven't said it says that you can only pick 5 because we haven't figured out how to do it yet, but that will happen in the future, hopefully. So for now, they all come with 5, but obviously it would not be a good idea for you to not use all of them when all are available at the moment. So yeah. Anyways, that's the little primer on the WTSL Builds mod. So, one more thing. You can import a player from the World Tour player base. So let's pick Novak Djokovic. Load player. So Novak Djokovic uses 2,591 points. That basically, it's got like where does his points left? Yeah. Anyways, in the Novak Djokovic World Tour player base has like points way above 100. So look at the focus. It was above 100. It was at hundreds or above 100. So it got remapped to 90. All these ones were above 100. Remapped to 75. This is above 100. Remapped to 90. Warren Volley was above 85. So it's remapped to 85. Sorry. So I'm saying things in XAT terms. In WTSL terms, it was above 90. It gets remapped to 90. It was above 90 for log. It gets remapped to 90. Above 85 for volley, remapped to 85, and so forth. So I imported from the player base, but you will never be able to face an opponent on this mod who has skills above our caps. But this is not satisfactory for playing a tournament. You see, the points left here is 684. So if you want to play a tournament with the Djokovic from World Tour, you would have to just edit his stats a little bit. So let me just take off a bit of lob. You don't need all that lob. You don't need all that drop shot. But Djokovic is good at drop shots. Maybe you would take off a bit of Djokovic's volley is not great, so let's take off a bit of that. There you go. Now you have Djokovic World Tour, who is fixed, touched up enough to play a tournament with 700 points left. But I think the service power is a bit too low. So if I were you, I would up the service power a lot more. Most people will go, let's say 95 to 100 on service power. So I would just match that. You don't want to be too disadvantaged. But now he's not. You can't play tournament with this character, 675. So what you do, you take off some. Volley. Yeah. Let me take off. Ooh, this net presence is not great. But it's alright. Djokovic's net is not amazing. His smash is not that great, but it's not. But when you play this mod, you're not trying to be Djokovic. You're just trying to be the best version, the best build you can to compete online. If you want to be Djokovic, you can, but then you better just use the base WTSL Builds mod. WTSL Builds mod for that, you know. So anyways, so this is the Djokovic World Tour. You tweak him a little bit. Make sure you have 700 points left, and then you're good to go to play a tournament with the one from World Tour. There you go. So that's that. So that's the little primer on the WTSL Builds mod. This is the power baseliner build. See, his power is almost max, so power baseliner, you see. Volley's not great, but you at the end of the day, you guys can make your own builds, suggest better versions of the presets. Hopefully we'll modify them over time. And yeah, hope you enjoy this mod. And yeah, when you play online, there will be a tagline that says XKT, XKT in the version, and WTSL Builds. So you can only play people who are also have this mod, have this profile loaded, because it's a separate profile. Like these are all separate profiles. While we're here, I'll also tell you, if you play the Futures Tour, you should download this. You find that using the tour basis tag. Download that, and all these mods are separate profiles. XKT is a separate profile. If you want to play an XKT, you go to XKT, apply, restart the game, and the profile will load properly to play. So yeah, this is a separate profile. If you want to play on it, you have to click apply after installing it, restart the game, and then everything will be set up as intended for this mod, and you'll be able to create a character tournaments with this mod, or free mode. Most people online play XKT, but if you like the free mode experience with created characters, then I would suggest trying this mod. So yeah, that's all for this video, and hope you have a good day. Watch the main video about online tournaments to learn how to play online tournaments, and you'll also be able, from that video, you can see how to sign up for tournaments, and it's the same for created character tournaments, except you don't have to pick a character, you just play as yourself. So yeah, alright, have a good day everyone, thank you.